Alright guys, welcome to Unleashed True Crime version. Okay, this is a new area of Unleashed. I'm still going to do the other stuff, but as I said in my other videos, we're going to venture into some other areas because I'm not a one-dimensional person and I have a lot of interest. And this case in particular is very interesting to me. It's something that I've wanted other podcasters to talk about. So I'm going to talk about it. And before we get into the video, I just want to say this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I'm not any type of professional. I'm just doing research on what's out there already. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about the case of Stephanie Lazarus, and she was a police officer that got away with unaliving somebody and got away with it for a long time. So that is what we'll be talking about today. So let's get into it. So Stephanie Lazarus. Lazarus was a former police officer in Los Angeles who gained notoriety for committing a high-profile murder. She was born in 1961 and grew up in a middle-class family in Southern California. Lazarus was an accomplished athlete, particularly in swimming, and she later attended the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, where she met John Rutten, who was another key factor in this story, and she earned a degree in art. And that's also another important fact in this story. So after college, Stephanie joined the Los Angeles Police Department in the mid-80s, and over the years, she worked in various capacities, including detective in Department of Robbery Homicide Division. Interesting. Lazarus was known for her dedication to her job, but she also had a complicated personal life. Her criminal actions stem from a tumultuous love triangle involving her former boyfriend, John Rutten, and his wife, Sherry Rasmussen. And we're going to get into both of those people in a little bit. Lazarus had dated Rutten in college, but lost him to Rasmussen, whom he married in 1986. Resentment and unresolved feelings led Lazarus to confront Rasmussen, resulting in the brutal murder of the young woman in February of 1986. So basically, it's just the story is pretty crazy because there's this woman, Stephanie. She was young, she was in college, and she met a group of people in the dorms, one of them being John Rutten, and they had a little fling. And from what I gather in the research that I've read, it was more of a fling for John versus Stephanie, who had like really intense feelings for him. And when he moved on to Sherry, she was just crushed. She like wrote letters to his mother. She was just like devastated by it and couldn't believe that he had moved on and chose somebody over her. And sometimes that could be pretty serious. Like, people can get crazy. Love can make people do crazy things. And you got to be really careful because this is kind of like a Jodi Arias type of thing. It's like, if I can't have you, no one can. And that's a pretty scary thought. So be careful who you choose to love. And when you see the red flags, make sure you pay attention to them. But let's get on with the story. So, John Rutten, who is the other person in this love triangle. He was born and raised in Southern California and attended the University of California as well, where he studied business, which laid the foundation for his career in finance and business. And while at UCLA, he met Stephanie Lazarus, and that's when their romance started. Before attending college, John Rutten grew up in Southern California. He was raised in a supportive family environment, which contributed to his well-rounded character. Details about his early life suggest he was active and engaged individual, likely involved in various school activities and sports during his youth. While specific information about his high school years is limited, it is known he had a solid academic background, which helped him earn an admission to UCLA. His upbringing in a vibrant community in Southern California likely influenced his interests and aspirations, setting the stage for his later studies and career in business. And from, again, what I've researched, John Rutten was a young, good-looking guy, well-rounded, athletic, easy to be around, very social, and Stephanie just fell really hard in love with him. And they continued their fling for a little while. It doesn't even sound like they were anything serious because when Stephanie is eventually questioned 20 something years later, she minimizes the relationships. Quite ironic because In the beginning, when she found out that he had moved on, she was devastated and couldn't believe that he chose someone over her. Yet when she was faced with her own consequences of her actions, she minimized it. Like, I had a boyfriend and he had a girlfriend and we dated a little bit, and she like really minimized it to try to like get her way out of the situation. Now, Sherry Rasmussen, she was born February 15th, 1963 in California, and she grew up in a supportive family and was known for her intelligence and ambition. She attended the University of California as well, UCLA, where she earned a degree in nursing, reflecting her passion for helping others. Before her marriage to John Rutten in 1986, Sherry worked as a nurse and she was well regarded in her field. She was described as vibrant and caring, with a strong sense of loyalty to her loved ones. Sherry's life was tragically cut short when she was unalived in February of 1986, just a few months after her wedding to John Rutten, leading to a long and complex investigation that ultimately implicated Stephanie Lazarus. So now we got this love triangle going on, now that we introduced all the people that are involved in this tragic situation. And again, this is why I say you got to be careful, because I don't think that John meant to hurt Stephanie. You know, sometimes things happen. I've been in situations where someone may have liked me more than I like them, and it might not even been that. Sometimes you're not ready to be in something serious, and you got to be responsible and not unintentionally lead people on or play with their feelings. And that's what it seems like happened with John and Stephanie. Now, Stephanie, she was an antagonizing person, very jealous, almost narcissistic in a way. Like, you're gonna leave me? How dare you? There's reports that she even showed up to Sherry's job and caused like an actual scene. She confronted Sherry, who Sherry was like this very well-rounded, very modest, young, beautiful girl, and not a fighter by any means. And you have Stephanie, who's a little bit more rough around the edges, and confronted her and threatened her in front of people. And there's reports about this, and that's scary because when someone starts stalking you and saying things like he's with me, and if I can't have him, you can't have him, like, that's stuff you got to take seriously. And eventually, Stephanie would start doing things to get under Sherry's skin. So Sherry and John got married in 1986, and they moved to the San Fernando Valley, and they bought this townhouse. And Stephanie would show up there in her revealing gym clothing and ask for like stupid things, for like John to wax her skis or any chance that she can, very desperate. And just to get under Sherry's skin, just to cause trouble. And John, from what I read, also, even while he was involved with Sherry, he kind of threw gasoline on the fire a little bit. Not that this is his fault in any way, but it does seem there was a point where he was intimate with both of them at the same time. He eventually did choose Sherry and married her, but I think that just enraged Stephanie even more. So on February 24th, 1986, John went to work and Sherry actually called out that day. She wasn't feeling well that day and she called out and stayed home sick. And at some point in the day, Stephanie gained access to the house. Now, Stephanie, because she had been going there and antagonizing Sherry and causing these problems, to the point where Sherry even told her father, I'm scared of this woman. She's a police officer. She's been harassing me, calling me, showing up to my job, showing up to my house. At some point, Stephanie gained access to the house while Sherry was there and confronted her. And the confrontation became a brutal altercation, and it looks like there was a huge struggle. Sherry really fought hard. Things were broken, knocked over, and at one point, Stephanie actually bit Sherry on the arm. And finally, before the fight was over, Stephanie took her weapon, wrapped it like 3 times in a Afghan, like a blanket, and shot 3 times, unaliving Sherry, and then left the scene of the crime. But before she left the scene of the crime, because she's a cop and she's used to this type of situation, she staged the house and she made it look like there was a robbery. She made it look like Sherry caught like robbers in the act. She took like stereo equipment, anything like valuable like that, and started stacking it near the front door and made it look like Sherry must have walked down, caught these rob who were taking stuff from the house, and they were the ones responsible for what happened to Sherry, which is very diabolical and very just disgusting in itself. And the crazy part is, on that street, there were, within like that week, a string of robberies, and there were two men that were unidentified, but there were like sketches of them that had been reported at doing violent crimes and robberies. So they linked what happened to Sherry to most likely those guys that were doing the robberies. But Sherry's father had said to the detectives, no, something's not right here. There's something else going on here. Can you please look into Officer Stephanie Lazarus? And he was told, forget it. It's a cop. She had nothing to do with it. And there may have even been some tampering of evidence. Now, the way that they found out about this case went cold for like 23 years. And in 2009, two younger detectives, they've been on the job like 12 years, not like newbies, but they were going through some cold cases. They found this case, and somebody had the wherewithal to take a DNA swab of the bite mark on Sherry's arm. And even though it was improperly contained in the evidence locker, the DNA was still viable. And what they found was that the DNA on the swab belonged to a woman. And that's what busted the case wide open. All right, so now Sherry's gone. John's devastated. Terrible situation. And 23 years go by. Stephanie moves around, and she moves high up in the ranks of the police department. She ends up becoming like a lead detective in stolen art. And she was very good at her job. She was also known to have a very fiery personality. Like, she would freak out if she got really frustrated. Very intense person. And what the detectives had to do was, like, they really had to create a ruse to try to get her in for questioning without her realizing what was really happening. Because don't forget, now she's got 20 something years under her belt. She's a detective. She's interviewed people before. She's interrogated people before. And the way that they caught her was they took a swab of the DNA swab. And when they found out it was a woman, they saw that Stephanie's name had come up multiple times in the report. And what they did was follow her. And while she was out shopping with her daughter, she had a drink and she had sipped from it and then threw it in the garbage. They waited for her to leave. They took the drink and matched it with the swab, and the DNA matched. And right then and there, they had their suspect. Now they had to figure out how to get this well-seasoned detective in for interrogation without ringing the alarm bells. So what the detectives do is, instead of going up to her and questioning her in her office or on that floor, they set up this scenario where they ask her to meet them in an interrogation room. And they did it by pretending to be very friendly. They're like, look, we want to talk to you in a private place because we don't want any innuendo or any rumors being spread about why we're speaking to you. It's top secret. And they gained her trust that way. The real reason why was because she is a police officer. She carries a weapon, and in an interrogation room, you have to give up your weapon. That's why they did it the way they did. They got her into the interrogation room, and under the pretenses that she was going to interrogate somebody about stolen art. But that's not what happened. And watching the tables turn, it's just unbelievable. It's satisfying because it's like, I don't know how somebody could do something like Stephanie Lazarus did and then go home and sleep at night. And then even go on to live a life. I'm not saying that maybe she didn't have any regret or guilt, but if you did, you she should have given herself up right away. You don't go on and get married, live your life and to the fullest, and have a great career and a family and all that after you cut somebody else's life down. And while she was in the interrogation room, you can see that she starts to get very like defensive. Like, wait a minute, I thought we were talking about stolen art here. Why are you asking me about some guy I had a fling with a million years ago? She says the word a million years ago many times. And we're going to take a quick look at a little clip of that.
I didn't want to bring this up in your squadron. Oh, no, it's fine. I think we're good.
Quarter to this term. You're gonna bring somebody in, right?
Yeah, well, let me explain the whole thing.
That's fine.
I don't want to talk about this in the squad room because
okay.
I don't know who people are listening.
That's true.
And if we go to my side, everybody's always wondering what everybody else is
sure,
doing.
no problem.
Okay, but like we're talking about being busy and stuff. We've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Rutten?
John Rutten. John Rutten?
Rutten.
Oh yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, let's see, went to UCLA in 1978 I started, and, you know, met him at school, at the dorms.
Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we were very close friends.
Yeah?
I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's regarding, it's a case we're working on, and it involves John, and in there, some of the statements we reviewed, you know, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were good friends, lived in the dorms I lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relationship or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated, you know, I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, let me think. God, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her. Geez. You know.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, well, are you guys? Is this something? I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art, and how you guys are.
Here's
I mean,
Stephanie. Here's the situation. Is basically, we knew that this when we saw this in the.
So as you can see, she totally tries to minimize her relationship with John. And because she's used to being in interrogation rooms, she figures it out pretty quickly. If you really look at her body language, you can see like her chest, like she starts to breathe a lot quicker. Her words are like, you know, she's like slamming the table, like literally like, you know, yeah, we dated and, you know, we hung out and she knew she was caught. And, you know, at the end of it, they made it seem like she can walk out whenever she wanted. And that wasn't the case. They pretended to let her leave, but she was quickly arrested and brought back in, and she was convicted of first-degree murder in 2012 for unaliving Sherry Rasmussen. She was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison. The sentence reflects the severity of the crime, as well as the premeditated nature of the attack, stemming from jealousy and unresolved feelings over her past relationship with John Rutten. So was it worth it, man? You know, like you fall in love with somebody. Listen, I've been in love. I just went through a really bad breakup. It's hard. You don't want to think about them with anybody else, but to get to that level of jealousy where you want to harm the other person, there's something wrong with you. Not you people watching, but hopefully not you. But you know, like anybody who's gonna take heartbreak and instead of learn from the relationship, heal, and move on, and go down the route of revenge to the point where you're going to do something harmful, eh, you're just not a good person, and you probably shouldn't be dating or even on the street. So ultimately, justice was served, and you know, play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So I'm gonna leave it there, guys, and I will catch you at the next one.
this is absolutely crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
Yes.
If If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy. This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
It's caught in the crossfire.